Because I don't want to just plagiarize the trailer that ArenaNet released, you can find a link in the description below to have a look at it. And in this video, I will simply play the audio along with some different footage, I guess. But hello everybody, and welcome to another video. Today we're talking about the preview for the next patch, as well as I'm going to fill you in and give you a complete story so far of the Tower of Nightmares chapter of the Living Story. So here's the sum up. Weird stuff started happening in Kessex Hills. Lady Casimir Mead, who works with Marjorie Delacroix that we met during the Dragon Bash event, is a Mesmer herself, and she was poking around at the lake and discovered there was a large force field hiding something. Because she's such a badass Mesmer, she managed to drop the force field, revealing a large toxic tower. As soon as the tower was revealed, it started spreading spores all around Kessex Hills and the surrounding areas, spelling danger for the inhabitants in that region of the world. The three orders of Tyria decided to come and fight the good fight, and Marjorie Delacroix and Lady Casimir Mead themselves are still in the area. It looks like from the last patch there's going to be a big encounter where we storm the tower. Now ArenaNet have revealed the name of the next patch, named Nightmares Within, so it does definitely look like, and the trailer indeed associated with it, looks like we're going to be able to go into the tower. In addition to this stuff though, there were some other little tidbits that they gave us in the story last patch that I do want to bring up. First of all, Marjorie Delacroix, she has a story that I've read out on my channel, but if you're not aware, there are short stories ArenaNet release on their main website that give you a lot more insight into the characters of this world and why they do what they do. Marjorie Delacroix has one of the most interesting stories in which she once worked with the Ministry Guard, and basically a boy, maybe not a child, just a young man, was assassinated in the streets of Divinity's Reach, and the Ministry Guard were trying to cover it up. She tried to commune with the spirit, but before she could find out what this weird conspiracy was all to do with, a mysterious necromancer destroyed the spirit before she could interact with it fully and ran off. After chasing that necromancer, she failed in her pursuit, but met E, this mysterious character who also gave us a hint back during Dragon Bash and told us that there were big things at work. So Marjorie is a really cool character right now, and she's back in the patch, and we've learned a little bit more. Lady Casimir Mead, who works with her, told her that Marjorie is expecting a fight, and she's brought her Mendel weapons, okay? So Mendel was the name of the ghost that we were reading about in this story, and supposedly, this didn't occur in the story, but supposedly the ghost told Marjorie to take his weapons into her custody, and these are really significant weapons that Casimir Mead describes as being sharp as dragon's teeth. There's this idea in the story about how only magical infused weapons like dragon weapons can pierce elder dragons and damage elder dragons. And there seems to be a suggestion here that Marjorie Delacroix has in her possession two said very powerful artifacts that could do such a thing. We're talking like, like Magdaia and Caladbolg, these very strong artifacts. It looks like Marjorie's got them. Now they've expanded that mystery, therefore. We now know more about these weapons, but still not exactly what role they have to play. But you can see that Marjorie's holding them. So things have become a little bit more complicated, and it's nice because it shows that whatever they set up there with that story with E is still being tangled into things. Another little bit that was revealed in the story, which actually even before this patch we was sort of aware of, there's a character named Carrie. Now this is happening in Kessex Hills. Carrie is the name of a little girl that gets stuck in a hole in one of the events to do with the destroyers in the south of the area towards the Tengu Wall. I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about. That's the name of a little girl in the zone. But also, the characters of this patch are referring to Carrie as well, but definitely not that little girl, because they're talking about a character named Carrie who's actually gone to explore inside the tower, and I'm sure a little girl wouldn't have done something like that, or the orders wouldn't have let a little girl go in to try and stop the crate. So there's another character called Carrie who is supposedly missing, and one of the members of the Dermot Priory, Maddox, is supposedly looking for her in the tower too, but neither have returned. But that's kind of weird because there's also Maddox outside on the hill sort of looking over the tower, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. But again, more complications with the plot, and maybe this next patch will be dealing with that. Finally, last video I talked to you guys about how there's a side quest going on in which you find loads of crate obelisks in the waters, and you're actually helping the Dermot Priory to research them and learn more about them. The obelisks being things that you can read about on the Guild Wars 2 blog, where they talk about the crate and how these are powerful, powerful things that are found on the deep oceans that the crate worship, and they believe that they are markers of the ascension of their prophets. So they hold a lot of significance to the crate, and they do seem to be magically charged somehow. Last patch introduced to us a side quest in which we go and gather lots of them to learn more about this story. And the culmination of that side quest explains that these crate obelisks are significant. They're not just random, you know, smooth black stone. They are significant, and that they are incredibly similar to Bloodstone shards. So the story of the Bloodstones is that the last time the Elder Dragons were awake, the Seers gathered all of the Elder Dragons, of course, suck magic. They consume magic. So the Seers, last time they were awake, tried to hide loads of magic away in a giant stone named the Bloodstone that was eventually shattered and spread all around Tyria. And by doing this, they stopped the Elder Dragons being able to consume all of the magic on the planet. And now, we're hearing that the crate, these obelisks, the crate worship some device, some other stones that are incredibly similar to the Bloodstone. Now, it's not the same thing, but it's incredibly similar. So what does that mean? My personal speculation is that, again, last time the Elder Dragons were awake, the Seers... Maybe the Seers didn't figure out how to create a Bloodstone on their own. Maybe they'd learnt this from somewhere else. Who else had been fiddling about? Maybe someone else had the same idea. And there wasn't just one Bloodstone created, there was another one. And this one too may have been shattered, but instead of spread around the surface of Tyria, the continent, it was like shattered and spread all around the unending ocean. It is not the Bloodstone, but this is more stone containing ancient magics. And magics are curious things in the Guild Wars universe. The magics contained within the Bloodstone aren't necessarily the same magics that the Massart were using to, you know, hide themselves and transfer themselves between dimensions. And we could be seeing the same thing here. The Crate are worshipping something like the Bloodstone infused with magics, and not necessarily magics that we're familiar with, and magics that are capable of entirely new things, which is very curious. But that's just my theory. All the patch tells us is that these are basically like Bloodstones, but they're not the Bloodstone. They're not of the Bloodstone. So that's what last patch told us. Fast forward to today, yesterday, Nightmares Within was revealed. This is the little patch preview ArenaNet does every other week. And basically now it looks like finally we get to go into the tower. They did release a trailer, which you will have been seeing footage of in addition to last patch's footage in the background. And the trailer has got a little bit of controversy to do with it because of its choice of music. So here's the music they're using in the trailer. Now, the music's not actually that bad. Really? I quite like the music. I think most people like the music. It's just weird to see this kind of music associated with a trailer that is shot exactly the same as all other Guild Wars 2 trailers. And up until now, all trailers that have been shot like this have had, you know, very orchestral and anthemic background music, you know, inspired by Jeremy Soule, or even done by Jeremy Soule in the case of the first trailers. And now they didn't even change the style of the trailer, so I think it's fine, and I quite enjoy that they've gone with this route. But maybe they should have changed the style of the trailer a little bit. And the trailer for that reason, just for the music in the background, has got like loads of dislikes on YouTube, which I just think is so weird. Why are people disliking the trailer? Like, oh, you might disagree with the living story in general, that's fine. But people are just disliking it just because of the music, you know, has no bearing whatsoever to the content itself, you know, the effort that the developers are putting into the game, the thing that actually matters, the thing that you're going to be playing. People are just sort of prejudging it because of the music. I think that kind of sucks, guys, that really does. But anyway, lots of people don't like the music. I think it's okay. The main reason why they're doing this is because they're actually doing a giveaway. They've teamed up with some guys. They're actually giving away, I believe it's 2 Cygnus guitars. Now, I don't know very much about guitars, but I'm guessing that's, you know, a particularly nice brand of guitar, and you can actually win them. ArenaNet are hosting a competition right now, and you can win a load of SteelSeries gaming equipment too, Guild Wars 2 SteelSeries like mouse and headset and stuff. They're doing a competition where you use this trailer music to make a good trailer, basically, for Guild Wars 2. It's a big competition. I'm really happy, even though, like, some people might not like the idea of winning guitars or whatever. I really like that they're doing this again. One of the best things they did pre-launch was they had a competition where people made a 60-second trailer for Guild Wars 2, why they want to play Guild Wars 2, you know, basically advertising Guild Wars 2, if we really get down to the crux of the matter. They had a competition before launch, and in that competition you could win a visit to ArenaNet, you could see the game before it even came out, and it set the community on fire. One of the first videos I ever did, like, I'd done loads of videos on Guild Wars before that competition came out, but one of the first videos I ever did that actually, you know, got real traction was when I put in my entry for that competition. Guild Wars 2 in 60 seconds was my one, and I did like a reason every single second. I didn't win anything, and I still believe to this day that I didn't win anything because I said that the Mesmer was a feature of Guild Wars 2 before they'd officially announced it, and it was just based on my speculation. And it's like, if they'd actually put me forward to win anything, then it would be like admitting the Mesmer was a thing. I don't know. Anyway, it was great. It was a great competition. It ignited the community. I'm sure that there were, you know, pre-launch, the face of Guild Wars 2 YouTubers was rather different, but I think that there were a lot of people that were involved in the scene back then that only got involved because this competition was sort of the spark. And I'm really happy that once again we're seeing another competition like this, and I only hope they continue. You know, art competitions used to be a staple of Halloween and winter for Guild Wars, but they haven't done those in a while either. So anyway, if you fancy winning a guitar, some SteelSeries equipment, gotta be honest, the SteelSeries stuff, like the white headset with like the, I don't know, I think it's kind of ugly. I don't know, I don't really like the Guild Wars 2 equipment. The mouse mat's alright, but the rest of it, meh. I'll pass, and for that reason as well, I probably won't do, I myself won't enter into this competition, but it does look cool. There'll be a link in the description if you want to check that out, and that's probably the reason why this new trailer has such odd music slapped into it. So the patch itself is described as the Toxic Alliance has been wreaking havoc in Keswick Hills. It's time to fight back and strike at the rotten heart of the enemy. They have a full release page. From the trailer itself, we actually get to see inside the tower. It just looks like there's a big plant in there, doesn't it, really? There's not, like, specific floors. The question does rise, what is this plant? I've got a couple of theories on that. I mean, some people are saying maybe this is another pale tree kind of thing. Like, this is Scarlet's art. We know that Scarlet rejects Nightmare, and she rejects the ways of the pale trees. What's her answer to it? Making her own pale tree? A toxic tree of some kind? This is her rejection that we're seeing manifest. And I think that's an interesting idea. I doubt it's a pale tree. But it probably is keyed somehow into that whole Sylvari aspect of her. And obviously, well, it definitely is, because we're a combination here of Nightmare Core and Crate. We still don't have much information on how this alliance came to be, but definitely the next patch will include Scarlet. Will we get to see her again? Some people are saying she's overstayed her welcome, but I'm really excited to see her again. Really, like, we've seen her in the concept art. I'm quite looking forward to the next time we see Scarlet, how she's going to react to me since last time we met truly face to face. I mean, we saw her sort of through holograms in the Twilight Arbor path, but we haven't truly seen her since way back at the Queen's Jubilee and in her funhouse, and that will be cool. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. The tower itself just sort of looks like a sheath for the plant, so that's what we see from the trailer. The release page does give us a lot more information though. They tell us about the competition, they tell us about the dev live stream that will be happening on November 13th, as they always do, and the first feature that they highlight, I've got to say, this is kind of weird. Lingering poison. You may have found a way into the Toxic Alliance's inner sanctum, but this has by no means curtailed their nefarious activities. Keswick Hills and the surrounding countryside are still befouled by the Alliance's evil presence. Is this a feature? Really? Really? This is the feature that, even though we've gone and done stuff, there's going to be no marked change on the world? Like, isn't that the whole point of the living story? That we do stuff as players and it has an impact on the world? You know, the whole reason why they're doing this, okay, we're going to make sure everything's temporary so we can have these sweeping changes. That's the whole reason behind the living story, and now, like, they'll be like, oh, this is a feature that even though you complete the content, nothing's going to change. Kind of weird. I would have just left that bit out. Anyway, the next section describes itself as Face the Nightmares Within. Enter rooms within the Tower of Nightmares to brave special encounters. So a bit of a description of what we're actually going to find in this new patch. But beware, things are not all as they seem. You can never know what awaits you within these dark rooms. Will you find yourself face to face with Scarlet's agents or a much more insidious enemy? It'll take strength, determination, and a cool head to survive the trials that await you. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit embarrassed about what I've said recently in Visual Wood and in previous videos where I've been like, oh yeah, they could do this awesome open world dungeon where it's got loads of floors. Like, the idea of that scope is just obviously so far left wing and not even the slightest thing that ArenaNet were even considering that it almost feels ridiculous for me to have even said it now, looking at what they're definitely doing with the patch. This sounds an awful lot to me like it's not going to be an open world dungeon, it's not going to be anything particularly new. We're just going to be looking at some kind of instance encounter again, 5-man probably, an extra little dungeon sequence that we can go through. What does surprise me though, and sounds kind of interesting, is this idea that things aren't all as they seem. Is this just PR speak? Is this just, you know, advertising talk to get us exciting where there isn't going to be any unique mechanics? I don't know. I actually think that we could be seeing some cool stuff where we don't really know where we're going, and it generally is quite puzzly. A theme of the Toxic Alliance patches so far has sort of been this idea of mesmers, right? There's been a lot of mesmery stuff going on. We had this big veil shrouding the tower. We've got Lady Casimir we'll probably be going through this encounter with, and yeah, I think we could be seeing some interesting mechanics where they do play with perspective a lot and hide things in plain sight, and we may have some real puzzles going in there. I don't know. This just whole idea that mesmers are something, and then this paragraph here makes me think we could be seeing something quite interesting when we get into the tower, despite the fact that obviously when you look at the trailer, the interior of the tower doesn't look all too special. In the rewards section as well, of course, are people getting bored of rewards yet? I don't know. I've never cared about rewards. I just wanted cool content. And like, the more rewards that come in, the less I seem to care. I've got to assume the general community is getting less and less enthused and caring about the rewards now and just want the content to be better. I hope we're slowly swinging that way. But anyway, another rewards section for those of you who only play for rewards, which is just bizarre. But gas mask helmet is going to be a new headpiece we're going to get. Also, they're giving us an above land aquatic breather. So your starter headgear, like your aquatic breather for the start of the game, you can now wear above surface if you like. Seems really weird. I guess maybe some people have been asking for that. That just really only vaguely interests me because it suggests that maybe eventually we'll get the underwater weapons above land. Wouldn't that be cool? New weapons for our classes, essentially. But it's just, you know, we get to use our spears and tridents and spear guns above land. How cool would that be? But yeah, the aquatic breather. There are new minis as well. And this mechanic that they had in the Twilight Arbor path, where you get the keys and you get to be able to open the chest, that mechanic, that's returning, which I'm really happy to see because I enjoyed that mechanic. I've always loved opening chests and things in the first game especially, and now that we're starting to see that in the instances in Guild Wars 2, yeah, definitely, I quite like it. I really do, collecting those, especially if they can continue to be trading postable. That's about it for everything that they've released on the next patch, guys. Basically, in summation, we get to go in the tower. When it comes out, I'll be sure to give you my thoughts on it, and we'll have some footage and actually play through there and see how good it really is. I am curious, in terms of the story, why there's still been no tie to what we saw with Tequatl. They confirmed that is a part of the living story, so what is this? Is it all slowly tying together, though? You know, we've got this vague idea. The Toxic Alliance connects to Marjorie, who has these potential dragon-slaying weapons, that then ties to Tequatl, who suggests that, you know, Zhaitan may still be out there or something's powering him up. Very curious. There are these threads still weaving through, and we've just got to pull back the curtain to see exactly what they're talking about. Anyway, guys, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. What do you think about the Nightmare Win? Are you excited about actually going in? Were you annoyed that, like, they were like, oh, here's the Tower of Nightmares, and then we didn't go in, and now basically the same hype is being used for this next release? Like, the hype for the previous release was this idea of going into a tower, and why are we hyped about this release? Because we're going to go into a tower! I actually don't mind. I like that they spread it out a bit, but I'm curious. I think there will be a little bit of a backlash there. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you next time.